The last questions here are these piecewise functions. So let's go ahead and graph these. So number 28. Remember, we think of this as three different equations. Y equals 0. Do that one in blue. The next one, y equals 2. And the last one we'll do in green. And that's y equals -5. Now, another thing we did is we tried to determine where these graphs would go. So we had these domain values. So we want y to equal 0 when x is less than -2. So what we do is we find -2 here. We put a little dashed line here. It's not really part of the graph. It's just going to help us remember where the graph goes. So there's going to be a section over here. This one is between -2 and 3. So we need another line here to divide here at 3. And the last one is x is greater than 3. So we'll use those to help us. This first one, we want to graph y equals 0. So all of these we know are horizontal lines because they're all just y equals a constant. So y equals 0, we want that in this section. So y equals 0 is actually just the x-axis here. We'll graph this one in blue. So there's y equals 0. It keeps going this direction because it says we want to graph this when x is less than or equal to -2. And we put a circle here, and do we fill this in or leave it open? Well, we look up here. It's got the or equal to, so we fill it in. Now we come to our next section, which is red, and we want to graph y equals 2. Well, y equals 2 is a horizontal line going through 2. And we want that in this section that we marked off. And we put little circles at the end, and we determine what has to happen here. Well, on the left side, we leave it open, which makes sense because if it was closed, it wouldn't be a function. On the right side, we close it because of the or equal to. And then we come to this last part, y equals -5. Y equals -5, still a horizontal line, and we want it when x is greater than 3. So -5 is down here. So we want to graph this line, and it's greater than 3, so it keeps going this direction. We put a circle here. We look up here, and we want to leave it open because it's not or equal to. So there's the graph of 28. Coming to 29, we just have two parts. So we have y equals x plus 1, and then we have y equals -5. We can think through our lines here. This says x is less than -3, so put a line here at -3. One section is going to be less than -3. One section is going to be greater than or equal to -3. So that's the only line we need. We just have two divisions to the left of this line and to the right. So now let's try to graph these. So the first one, y equals x plus 1. Well, we're going to graph y equals x plus 1. The y-intercept is 1. The slope is 1. We can think of this as 1 over 1. So we rise 1, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, or down 1, left 1. Now, we actually want to continue over on this side because this graph we only want when it's less than -3. So we only want to the left of this line. So we're going to graph this direction. So we did use the y-intercept to help us, but we don't need any of these points. So I'm going to get rid of those points because they're not part of the graph over there, but they were helpful for finding the y-intercept. And then we want to put a circle here. Do we keep the circle open or close it? We look at the inequality here. It's just less than, so we keep it open. And now let's look at This next line, y equals -5, well, we actually had that before. That is a horizontal line through -5. And we want to go all the way back to our dashed line here that separates our different sections. And then it asks for x is greater than -3, so it just keeps going and going and going. We put a circle here. Oh, that was a large circle. And do we fill it in? Yes, we do fill it in because it's got the or equal to there. And there's the graph of that piece function.